What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our Week 4 picks and preview for college basketball. And so far, we've already seen a huge upset this week in Ohio State beating Duke, number one Duke. It's been a great season so far, and I expect it to continue this week. And Ty pretty much blew me out of the water yet again, it feels like, in college basketball. You were talking, you said you're picking Gonzaga till they lose, and they lost this week. So what are you doing going forward here?
Probably the same thing, honestly. I still am pretty high on Gonzaga. Hats off to Ohio State last night, big win. That was pretty cute that they get to celebrate a basketball win, storm their little court. That was really cute of them, to kind of bounce back a little bit from that domination they took Saturday
For
from
sure.
Michigan.
Yeah. And we'll just jump right into it, talking about Michigan schools. We got Michigan State, who plays Louisville tonight. Honestly, I think it's in 15 minutes from when we're making this video. We're both going with State here, and this game could be a trip-up game for State. In all honesty, this Louisville team has been really good to start the year, but I just can't pick against State right now. Tom Izzo and the boys there have been really starting to piece it together. And yeah, they may have, lost to Baylor by 15 in the championship, but Baylor's a really good team right now, and they've clicked on all cylinders. And State still has some things to work on. And tonight, I think those things are going to be put to the test, but I think State will pull it out in the end.
Yeah, if I thought a little higher of Louisville, I would have picked them here, but I think Michigan State is the far better team in this game. I think they win close. Coming off a 3-game tournament in Atlantis or Bahamas or wherever they were, that's tough. We saw with Michigan, they went and played 2 games in Vegas, turned around and played the next week, and they played like everyone's dog just died. So watch out for this game if you're Michigan State, but playing at the Breslin Center, I think they win this game. Might be close, but I don't see them losing.
And in an hour from now, we got Florida and Oklahoma, and I don't think it's on TV because I didn't see anywhere where it was posted, which is kind of strange. But should be a really good game. And for those in attendance, they're pretty lucky right now. But this Florida team came out of nowhere, really, to start the year, not even getting, I don't think, a vote for the preseason. And now they're already ranked 14th in the country. It really speaks volumes on how this Florida team has been playing. And I'm riding the hot hand here and going with Florida.
Yeah, like you said, Florida kind of came out of nowhere. So because of that, I was kind of looking at Oklahoma, possibly picking them playing at home, but I'm just not very high on Oklahoma this year. Losing that head coach last year and replacing a lot, I just don't see this team really competing with the best of the Big 12. So I think Florida's going to be able to go in there and get a win, even coming off that emotional championship game, the Fort Myers tip-off, the buzzer beater. I still think they have enough to go in there and win. Former Michigan player Colin Castleton, he's been lighting it up this year for Florida, and I look for him to have a big game.
And another game tonight, we got our first disagreement in Texas Tech and Providence, and someone in the Big 12 is going to be the surprise team. And right now, without Chris Beard, this Texas Tech Red Raiders team really hasn't showed any signs of slowing down. And I think I'm going to just keep it rolling with them. And I'm going with the undefeated team here in Texas Tech. But to Providence's credit, they have been really good to start the year. And we're talking in that March Madness video that the Big East is the most wide open conference of the big conferences this year. And, Providence, they could be a top 5 team and surprisingly win the tournament, and get that bid as well. But definitely a great game if you guys are looking for a really close game for tonight.
Yeah, I'm rocking with the home team here in Providence. I think this is going to be more of a defensive battle here, maybe first to 60. Providence played one of those already with Wisconsin, beat them on the road. So I think they're the more proven team right now. Texas Tech's still a good team. They lost their coach, but they didn't lose the players. So they're still going to compete in the Big 12. But I think Providence playing at home is going to shut them down on defense, and they'll win this game.
And a late game tonight, and you got Wisconsin and Georgia Tech. this Wisconsin team, big win last week against Houston, and Georgia Tech they already have more wins than their football team this year. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for this Georgia Tech team, but they do have a home game, and I think it will be a tough test for Wisconsin. But luckily, their 3-point shooting can get them out of, some problems, and I think that's what's going to prevail Wisconsin to get the win in Georgetown.
Yeah, this is a tough game. People forget Georgia Tech was in the tournament last year as a 9 seed, so this is still a good team. A very tough test for Wisconsin going on the road there. So I look for this to be a close game. But when it comes down to close games with Wisconsin, they have Brad Davis in his 6th year. So that's a huge luxury for them to have. And I think they can go to him late in games. And I think tonight he's going to make a few plays late and they're going to be able to get out of there with a big win.
And well, could be the most disappointing game of the year for Michigan. I don't know if that's possible, but they've already done that already. But, if they can win this game, this is really going to solidify us. And I'm sure a lot of people in the media that this Michigan team still is a team that you don't want to mess with. If they can go into Chapel Hill and get this win, which I believe they might, and I'm picking them to, this Michigan team, it's really going to come down to 3-point shooting yet again. It seems like for the last 3-4 years that it hasn't been a question about 3-point shooting, but now you don't know who you could throw any guard on that team out there, and I think you would get the same production out of them. At least so far, it's been pretty dismal to start, but I think rebounding is going to be the key factor in this game. It's going to be Baycott versus the big three in Michigan and Dickinson, Diabate, and Houston, and I'm liking Michigan's chances to win that rebounding battle. So I got to go with Michigan here.
Wow. This is a tough game for me to pick. Vegas likes Michigan, surprisingly. So obviously, I'm not going to pick against my team if Vegas is even picking them to win, but they have looked very ugly to start the season. But you could say the same about North Carolina. These are just two teams that had expectations and have just performed well below them. Going on the road to North Carolina scares me as a Michigan fan because even playing in Vegas seemed to really throw Michigan off. So I don't really know what to expect, but Michigan needs a win like this to kind of get them back on the right track. Obviously, they have tons of talent. It's just a matter of can they find a point guard? It doesn't have to be Devontae Jones. It just needs to be somebody you can rely on. So maybe we find that out tonight, but I'm staying confident. I think Michigan's going to pull one out tonight and hopefully get them back on track to be where they should be, which is a top 15, top 10 team.
And we're moving to tomorrow, and a very good game with teams, that you're not really going to talk about after this game. St. Mary's will only be brought up when they're playing Gonzaga because they're probably the most likely team to upset Gonzaga in their conference. And Utah State is going to go way under the radar this year in the Mountain West because it's the Mountain West. And I'm going with St. Mary's just because I think they need a win that's really going to keep solidifying them and potentially get them in the rankings at the end of the day. And a road win against a really good Utah State team is going to do that. And I think they're going to move to 8-1.
Yeah, this is an underrated game. These are two tournament teams and easily two 25-win teams this season. So these teams are going to make some noise in March. So I think this is a game to watch out for. But Utah State is an underrated home court. I think that's a tough place to play. So I think that is going to be the difference in this game. These are two teams that are basically, in my mind, on the same level. Maybe St. Mary's is a small step above them, but I think going on the road is just too tough of an environment for St. Mary's. I think Utah State wins a close game.
And Friday, we're kicking it off here with Kansas and St. John's. Not really much to be said about the St. John's team. They've pretty had a few cupcake games to get them to 5-1. But this Kansas team, tough loss last week against Dayton, as we were talking in our other video. They pretty much lost on a tough shot. You can't really do anything about that. And I think Kansas is going to bounce back really well. And I think this Kansas team is going to win by 10 or 15 in this game to really show that they're still a team that you don't want to play.
Yeah, this is a tough road game for Kansas. St. John's is really underrated this year. They got a lot of talent coming back from a team that just missed the tournament last year. So uh, the problem for them is they really pressure you on defense. They like to full court press, half court trap, those kind of things. But Kansas has too many athletes for that to really affect them. So I think that's going to be the difference. And I think Kansas should win this game, kind of going away at the end.
And we have breaking news as before we get to this game. As if you're a baseball fan, the Cubs just signed Marcus Stroman. I mean, Ty, as you can see with your reaction, I don't know how you feel if that's good or a bad thing, but just for all the baseball fans out there, he has signed with the Cubs as they look to somewhat compete this year. And back to our basketball video, you got potentially the best game of the week, possibly. Going off of records, you got Iowa, who's 7-0, which is very surprising, versus our number one team in our rankings in Purdue. And we can't pick against Purdue because one, our friends go there, and two, that they're number one in our rankings. So I feel like it'd be kind of disrespectful to pick against them. But to their credit, they got 3 stars on their team, which I don't know how Iowa's going to stop one of them, if we're being honest. And I expect all of them to eat in this game and potentially be a 10 to 15 point win as well for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, Iowa let Virginia score more than 70 points on them. So I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I'm going to say Purdue scores 100 in this game. This is one of the best offenses in the country against what might be the worst defense in the Big Ten, at least in Iowa. Usually they have the offensive talent to make up for that. It's not there as much this year. Purdue is going to dominate this game. I think they'll win by close to 20 points, and I think they put up 100.
And on Saturday, we got Marquette in Wisconsin. And I'm going with Marquette here because I think Shaka Smart is the real deal. Like, he's been a good coach. But unfortunately, he's just been tough situations since his VCU days. And, I don't know. I'm just kind of high on this Marquette team just because of him. And, they've really showed already that they can beat some big teams when they need to. And on the road again, they're on the road against a Big Ten team, which they've already beat one this year. And I think they're going to run it back and do it again, move to 2-0 against the Big Ten and move to 8-1 on the year.
Yeah, this game could really go either way. So generally, I pick the home team in those games. I'm going with Wisconsin. Again, Brad Davison is going to be a difference here. Marquette, led by Daryl Morcell, this team can score as well. I just think Wisconsin is a small step ahead of Marquette right now. That could change throughout the season, but Brad Davison for Wisconsin, just having that leadership, I think, is a huge difference this time of year. Players are going to grow up as the season goes on, but early in the season, having a 5th or 6th year senior helps a lot, and I think Wisconsin wins this game because of that.
And another good game is you got Tennessee at 5-1 and Colorado at 6-1. And surprisingly enough, we're both picking against the ranked team here. I think Tennessee is still just overrated, and they finally get a game where we're going to see that. And I honestly think that Colorado might be favored in Vegas when the odds come out on Saturday, just because they've been playing some pretty solid basketball so far, and they're at home, middle of the day, just everything's kind of going in their favor right now before the game. So I think it's going to play a factor in the game as well, and Colorado is going to come out with the victory.
Seems like we do this every year with Colorado. Nobody ever talks about them preseason. But every year they turn out to be a really good team. Last year, nobody knew anything about them. They ended up being a 5 seed in the tournament. So seems like every year this team just kind of comes out of nowhere. They're really well coached, and I don't see that changing this year. Tennessee, I think going on the road, that's a tough place to play. And I think Colorado's going to pull this upset and start to once again, make a name for themselves like they do every year.
And we got a very under the radar game here. If you like some, bubble teams come March, this is a game for you. DePaul, surprisingly 6-0 on the year. And you got Loyola at 5-2 with 2 tough losses to start the year. But give them credit that they're playing some good teams early. I'm going with DePaul because Battle of Chicago and DePaul's at home. I think they're going to squeak it out here, and it's going to be a close game. But to Loyola's credit, they definitely have the chance to come away with a win.
Yeah, I just think Loyola is just going to be the team that executes better. Watching them, I watched them play Michigan State, watched that whole game. They're not the most talented team in the country, that's for sure. Loyola, that is, but they execute so well, it seems like on offense, and it seems like they always end up getting a good shot. So I think that is going to get them far in games like this, where they're not really out talented like they were against Michigan State. So I think they can go into DePaul and win this game and prove that they're the best team in Chicago.
And the best ranked matchup of the weekend, Gonzaga and Alabama. And I don't really think there's much to be said about this game other than Gonzaga will more than likely blow out Alabama. We've already seen it last week, blowing out UCLA, hanging with Duke, and I think they're here, to come back with another statement win to show them that they are a top 5 team for the rest of the year. And Gonzaga is definitely going to do it here, especially at home. That's a big thing too. But Gonzaga, I'd say Gonzaga by 20, probably at least.
Yeah, if you like high scoring basketball games and you don't like college football, this is the game for you. There's going to be a lot of points here. Alabama, like I said in our rankings video, they score a lot of points and they live and die by the 3. And obviously Gonzaga, they can light you up on offense. So I look for both teams to score a lot of points, but I look for Gonzaga to score a lot more. Alabama's not quite there yet to where Gonzaga is. So like you said, I think Gonzaga will win pretty comfortably, especially, is this at home? I think it is for Gonzaga. Yeah, so going in there, Alabama, I don't see them getting within 10 in this game. Gonzaga should win easily.
Wait, Friday? No, this is definitely Saturday night. We got Iowa State and Creighton, and Iowa State has been the surprise team of the year so far, winning 2 games last year, and we're going to probably say it every time we see this Iowa State. They only won 2 games last year, and they're already 6-0 and undefeated to start the year. But nothing against this Iowa State team, but this Creighton team, definitely flying under the radar because, they're not ranked and they lost some key guys from last year, but they still are somehow reload every year and put up right around a 5-6 seed team. And I expect none less from them. So I can understand your pick here with Creighton, but I'm rolling with the hot hand and the story of the year so far in Iowa State.
Yeah, geez, if Iowa State wins this game, you got to really start thinking they might compete to win the Big 12. I mean, if they can get through this game and be 7-0, but I got to go with Creighton. I think Iowa State, they're, I don't want to say luck, but their big momentum they have going right now, I think that's got to end at some point. And going on the road to a tough place to play in Creighton, I think this will be the time where they kind of come back down to earth a little bit. Creighton, like you said, underrated team. They were a 5 seed last year, so I know they lost a lot, but they still have some talent left over. So I think they win this game at home and put themselves on the map, possibly be ranked.
And on Sunday, I believe this is the last game of the week for us. We got Xavier and Oklahoma State. Xavier has been ranked once this year. Unfortunately, they fell out this week. And Oklahoma State, they've got votes every week, but they just haven't cracked the top 25. And I think whoever wins this game is going to be in the top 25 for sure, just because both those teams are very close. And I'm going with Xavier just because I think the Big East, when I was talking about how it's going to be the most open division and competitive as well, and they're just going to go at it with each other. And I think Xavier's going to need as many wins as they can get, especially, with a conference like that. So I'm rolling with Xavier here because 1, they need the win, and 2, it's definitely going to be something towards the end of February, March at strength of record. And I think this Oklahoma State is going to figure it out come January, February, and be a good win for that resume.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State, I'm going with them just because I think they're playing angry this year. These players were told at the start of the season by the NCAA that they're not going to be playing in postseason play this year. And I think that just kind of really pissed him off because this is a team that would have made the NCAA tournament, I think, pretty easily. So now you're putting them on a timer, and it's like every game matters more for them. They know exactly when their season's going to end. So just going off that, and obviously this is a good basketball team. Can't take anything away from them. It's not the players' fault either that they're ineligible. So I think Oklahoma State playing at home, they're just too athletic for Xavier, and I think they'll win this game. But it'll be close.
Oops. And that'll be it for our video today. I just need to go back a slide. Our picks late. The game's starting right now as I'm looking at Louisville and Michigan State about to tip off. But we'll get them out next week for sure, as we can get those Monday and Tuesday games and maybe pick that number one upset next week. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.